What is up, guys? This is like my fifth take on this video, because just stuff keeps happening and breaking and whatnot. Hopefully this one has sound. If it does, I will upload it. If you saw the title, now basically said these things about 4 or 5 times now. But if you have seen the title, you kind of know where this is going. The reason for this vlog was because I recently watched a documentary, called The Third Industrial Revolution. It's on SBS if you're in Australia, and also on Vice, other places in the world. Basically, it's just a sort of documentary of where things are sort of heading towards, and sort of like moving. And so like basically the changing of the internet has basically started a shift into a more decentralized industrial and economic sort of standpoint. It's really interesting. Lots of important information. I think and it does make a lot of sense what the guy is saying of where everything's going to go towards. But part of that video was about climate change and global warming and stuff like that. And he brought up with 3 points, or the top 3 industries that affect that produce a lot of greenhouse gases. At number 3, there's the transportation industry, which makes sense. A lot of cars, trucks, railway trains, but I think a lot of them are electric, but they produce a lot of CO2. Number 1 is construction, which also makes a lot of sense because you're doing a lot of raw materials, a lot of building, and it makes sense that it has a big impact on the environment. And number 2 is agriculture and farming, and the big reason why this is at number 2 is because of livestock. Livestock produce, and especially cows, produce methane, which is a really bad greenhouse gas. CO2 is somewhat bad and it's often touted, but methane is about 10 times worse, something like that. Don't quote me on that statistic. I don't exactly know, but it's a lot worse. It's a lot worse. And the reason I sort of have this sort of segue into what we're actually talking about is weekday vegetarianism is what we are trying to do in this household, and we're doing it pretty well. Basically what this is instead of going like full vegetarianism, we just have like during the weekday we eat mainly just vegetarian meals and treat meat as a luxury food and only have it on weekends. And with that, if we can cut down on meat and just have it as luxury foods, that's perfect. But being foodies, and I enjoy my food a lot, meat is a big part of like a lot of dishes and stuff like that. So I don't think it's very feasible to say no meat ever. But I do think it's feasible to just cut down on it, and maybe do like this sort of challenge, I suppose you could say, of just during the weekday, vegetarian meals, weekends, you can splurge out. And this has, I think, a lot of benefits as well. It is, not only does it, as I've said before, this will lower down the meat production, because a lot of people won't be eating meat, which means that they won't be producing as much methane and nitrous oxide. But also, it helps with hunger issues around the world and producing food, because there's a lot more space needed to produce livestock and stuff like that. Also, there's a lot of space, a lot of farming is used to produce food for the livestock. So it's like, I think the statistic was around 8 pounds of grains or sort of feed for the meat produces 1 pound of meat. So it's like an 8-to-1 ratio, which is very inefficient. So if you go into the fact that you're using a lot of space to produce a lot of food, which just gets given to the animals, which has a lot of space, also produces methane, and there's a lot of greenhouse gases made in normal farming as well. And then you eat it. It's sort of just, it doesn't seem very efficient. It's using up a lot of space, producing a lot of methane, and because there's less space, you can produce less food, and so it's just overall not very good. So I think that's why, as a human race, we will start going towards treating meat as a luxury food. There'll still be meat production, but I think as we sort of grow on a society level and grow to be, we have all the food we necessary, especially in first world countries. Developing countries still have a bit of a problem with food and stuff like that. So if in first world countries we can sort of just change our mindset to sort of switch off sort of meats and stuff like that, we will also change our diet. We'll be a lot more healthier. We'll get rid of a lot of logging that is necessary to produce a lot of livestock areas. Change all that stuff to actually food that can be eaten for humans. Then this is also just sort of like a respectful thing for animals on the planet. Instead of just pumping out, just growing animals and just chopping down, we sort of respect them a bit more, and we have smaller farms, we produce small amounts of meat, and it's like a good relationship. Because a lot of people that are vegetarian, the reason why they turn vegetarian is because of the animal cruelty and stuff that associated with farming, and that it's like a life, you're killing a life and you're eating it. And I totally respect that. I still enjoy meat, but I understand that it is probably not the best solution by eating all this meat. So that's sort of what this vlog is about. So I think that everyone should jump on board and become like a weekday vegetarian, or at least have like 3 meals a day which is vegetarian. It is totally feasible. You can totally change a lot of, like, the only big issue with changing from meat to plant is loss of protein, but because it's such a widespread phenomenon to become a vegetarian and vegan, there's been found heaps of ways to get the protein necessary, get everything you need in a diet for a healthy human being. So I implore that maybe you try and become a weekday vegetarian. I implore that you treat meats and fish and stuff like that as a luxury food, and I think this will just help so much towards just a better environment, better healthy body, coping fat people and obesity rates down, helps greenhouse gases. It just promotes a better sort of gratitude for the animals and the resources that they give us. I just think it's a good way to live life, and I think if a lot more people did that, the world would be a better place. And it's like corny to say that, it's like a small drop in the ocean, but I think it's a sort of, you gotta change your mindset for a lot of things, and if you change your mindset, and then you can change other people's mindset, and then those people, and it just becomes a big shift. So thank you all for watching this little vlog about what we are doing in this household. Obviously we might not turn fully vegetarian, we still love food, and we want to enjoy the different aspects, and which includes meat and fish. But I seriously think, from a pragmatic view, that it is important that we cut down our meat. Peace out.